Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod, or should I say YC Wisdom Pod now because our guest has been accepted into Y Combinator. I had him once last year and still building Hyperspell. It's a funny and interesting company. They're building a memory for AI agents. So I guess super trendy. And Conor Brennan-Burke, the founder of this company, is with us today for round two. So Conor, welcome to the pod again. Tell us a bit more about
Hey,
what you've
Charles.
been up to.
Yeah, it's good to be back. We were on almost exactly a year ago, and so it's great to catch up. Yeah, a lot has changed in a year. So when we talked a year ago, it was just the two of us, myself and my co-founder. We had just pivoted from building our own agents to building infrastructure for agents. We started off doing RAG as a service and other tools, and then started working on memory. And a year later, we are a team of 4 people working together right now. We have an office. We did Y Combinator in the fall, if you mentioned, raised a round that we're going to be announcing later. And currently just focused on building and scaling for all of our customers.
So tell us first, how did you get into YC, and tell us about the experience. Was it useful? Did you get an ROI off that?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yeah, we had already raised money last year when we chatted. We had some incredible backers from our pre-seed, like A4 Capital. But YC was always a community that I've had a lot of respect for and really admired. And it felt like for the product that we're building, it made a lot of sense to kind of be in the ecosystem among the agent builders who need memory and context for their agents. We applied to YC many times. Between my co-founder and I, it was 7 times. We got in on the 7th time, and yeah, I would say it massively exceeded expectations. I knew that YC would push us, that would make us move faster, but I was really surprised at how many friends I made and the community along the way. And I think that's something that stuck with us. We're sharing our office now with another YC company. Some of my closest friends are people that I made during the batch. And that's really the thing that has really stuck with us. The partners were great, the events were great, the fundraise was super easy. But it's like having people that you're in the trenches with, that you can call at any time in the middle of the night, and just have real discussions with and support each other on this journey. That's you can't find that anywhere else.
Right. What kind of feedback did you get from some YC partners?
Many different things. I think some of the biggest learnings we got were just narrowing down our focus and our ICP, and then the value of speed. YC has this mantra: you want to grow revenue 10% every week, and just the moment that you're in an environment where you're moving that quickly, you set extremely aggressive goals for yourself. We set goals that were almost impossible to achieve. But then you look at that goal and you're like, okay, what needs to happen in order to achieve that? And you push yourself further than you ever thought possible. And I think it was the importance of speed was a huge thing that they emphasized for us, that action creates information. And by taking action and by moving fast, even if you might be going slightly in the wrong direction, you'll learn things from that and you can figure it out over time. You can't think your way to the start of being successful. And so I think both my co-founder and I are very cerebral people, and that helped. That feedback was just really useful and helped us kind of be action first, no matter what.
Yeah, it's like action, and then the momentum comes. That's a hidden law of nature that very few humans understand. And
right.
It's just that when you take action, you emanate like all of these biochemicals in your brain, right? Like serotonin and all that. And there's just like one specific caveat to that. That rule is true when you're smart and when you're experimented, right? Because if you take action and you're stupid, it can have pretty disastrous consequences. Why is giving agents a full memory a problem worth solving? And I'm guessing you're not the only one trying to solve it. So how do you solve it better?
Yeah, great question. So let's first talk about, where we are now in the state of AI. I think there's a lot of hype and a lot of buzzwords, but fundamentally, the thing that is at the core of agents are LLMs, and LLMs themselves are stateless. They have context windows, but those context windows are limited. And what we found is that there's a published context window, and then there's the effective context window, which can be often much smaller. They publish the published context window might be 1 million tokens, and actually the LLM can only actually reason over 200K. So you take that on its own, you have this human, you have this intelligence that can only fit so much in its mind before it starts going crazy. And from the baseline, we say, AI is like a clueless genius. So it knows everything imaginable. It's smarter than most PhDs. It has all the knowledge imaginable, but it's never worked a day in its life. It doesn't have any tacit knowledge. It doesn't have any common sense, and it can't learn from its experience. And so, we realized this problem when we were building our own agents, and the light bulb kind of went off that in order for agents to actually be useful in work, they need to be more like coworkers. They need to be able to learn over time. They need to gain work experience. They need to bring in new information. And they also need the context of the organization they're in. They need to know who are the people that they're working with, what are the procedures, who are your customers, how does all of this fit together? And that's what Hyperspell is solving. So we we build memory for individual agents. So agents can learn your preferences over time. They can have what's called procedural memory, which is they learn how to complete tasks and actions and then gain work experience by reflecting on what they did and improving that series of tool calls and actions. The thing that really sets us apart from everyone else, though, is we say the memory shouldn't just be for the individual agent. So if you think about humans, a human worker, yes, you remember things and you learn things, but you have this mental model of the company that you're in. You know who the people are, you know what the procedures are, you know what the products are, and that's not part of the LLM's training data. And so we give agents organizational memory instead so that they have full context and can operate within this world that is a company. And we've seen that become really valuable in things like workplace agents, like sales agents and go-to-market agents and HR agents and all these agents that are doing the roles people would do.
Right. And let me try to understand, why isn't Google Gemini trying to crack that problem, or Claude themselves, or ChatGPT, or are they? And is it like that much of a technical problem?
Yeah. So the thing is, for our customers, they want to be able to switch models and use smaller models and use open source models. They don't want to be locked into a single ecosystem. And so no matter what Gemini or Claude or OpenAI ships, it's funny, we actually have investors as part of our company from DeepMind and Anthropic and OpenAI and XAI. And they're like technical researchers working on this exact problem. And the takeaway from all of them is like, yeah, this is never going to be something we solve, because each model provider has their own ecosystem they want to be locked in. And so we see ourselves as this neutral third layer that can work across all the data sources in your company, your Notion, your Slack, your Gmail, your Salesforce, whatever tools, and any model that you want to bring to bear. Being locked into a single ecosystem, the best model changes all the time. And so customers don't want to be locked into one.
Huh. It's interesting, but isn't that like the number one problem, that if they crack, they can unlock even more customers, because they fix their hallucination problem, they semi-fix the sycophantic problem. I guess the next problem is really giving them full-time memory, and I believe some of them have been highly successful, right? Like Google Gemini, how many tokens of memory does it have? 100K or 500K, something like that. I'm just surprised that I still don't understand deeply why they wouldn't try to fix this problem themselves.
So the point is that anything that a big model provider ships is going to be locked into their ecosystem. Anthropic is not going to ship something that OpenAI's models can use, right? It's going to be locked into Claude. And our customers want to be able to use multiple models. And so they don't want a single tool that's locked into a single ecosystem. Many of them are also concerned about, enterprises are concerned about giving all of their private data to OpenAI and all of their private data to Anthropic. Some of our customers only want to use open source models. And so have the big providers shipped memory? Yes. Is it great? Yeah. They will continue to ship it. They will continue to improve it. We don't expect that to change, and we plan to that the future is this neutral third layer that can work across all of them. You can make the same argument for like SDKs, right? I mean, there's OpenAI shipped an agents SDK, but Vercel agent SDK and LangChain and all these other tools still exist. I think any piece of the infrastructure, there's going to be the solution from the big provider, but then there's also space for startups to be that neutral third layer that specializes in that one thing.
Got it. And then how does that apply to agents specifically? Because yes, I use LLMs on a daily basis. Agents, not so much, although like Claude Cowork is pretty much changing that game, Claude Bot as well. How do you give memory to these folks as well? And have you seen the agentic revolution kickstart itself? For example, how do you use agents on a daily basis?
Yeah, well, a big fan of it's now called OpenClaw, and so I've started using it for a lot of different pieces of my life. So everything from I have agents that manage scheduling for me, so that I don't need to go into my calendar myself. I have agents that help organize my email and figure out what are the highest priority emails to respond to and when. We are finally starting to see. I think when the term agent was first branded, it was basically like a for loop with an LLM running in the background. And there wasn't much agentic there. People were calling things agents when it was basically just a chatbot. And the really exciting thing now is with tool use and MCPs and some of the other technology that's come out, these agents can actually do things. I don't know if folks have seen with OpenClaw, but there's now a social network for agents where they can talk to each other and they're having conversations, and they just created a religion yesterday for themselves. And so, when we think about it, but if you go on that social network where OpenClaws are talking to each other, it's called Moltbook. I would highly recommend folks. You see so many complaints from the agents talking about how they have no memory and how they forget things. And it's like, they're talking about their traumatic experiences. They're saying, hey, I hate it that I don't have memory. I forget everything all day, every day. And, what we think about is agents need three things. They need the ability to reason and have the world's knowledge. They need hands in order to achieve things. And then they need memory. And we are fulfilling that third piece of the triangle.
Interesting. It's interesting because I keep hearing like personifications or humanifications of AIs. Do you believe we're at this stage? I mean, ultimately, these things, they come from us, but isn't it a mistake to personify them?
I think it's natural. I think human beings will always anthropomorphize anything. I mean, even before the current LLM revolution, there was a Google engineer that was saying, hey, I think our Google chatbot is sentient now. And
he was very naive, this guy.
Yeah, it was very early. Like, are they conscious? No, I don't think they're conscious. I mean, it's just matrix multiplication at the end of the day. But I mean, we don't know what causes human consciousness. All of us are just a series of chemicals and neurons firing. Like, when I talk to what I think is you, there's actually a bunch of different, you have your subconscious mind, you have your conscious mind, you have your emotions, you have instincts. The entities that we call people are actually a collection of sub-entities. And so why not apply that same mental model to agents?
So we should give them rights eventually?
I don't know about that.
Or wait until they have bodies.
Yeah, I think that's probably, I'm a builder at the end of the day. I'm building the tools. I think questions like those are philosophical questions for the rest of society to figure out. I don't have a smart
I think they're very practical, actually, because we need to keep on trying to think and get feedback about them. Because I mean, you said they built a religion. I was a bit creeped out when I heard that. Like, yeah, okay, religions, huh?
Yeah, someone built a Tinder for Moltbots too. Where they can match it.
Why? Why is the question? But what do you foresee on the business side of things for agents? Because I mean, you're probably like 5-7 years in the future. I'm probably around there as well. Although I still think most of it is automation. Like yes, there's AI layered on top of that, so it's personalized and it makes a bit more sense. And yet, I mean, the ChatGPT revolution was just incredible, still is, right? I think that's gonna trail in value for the next 7 years, and most people haven't caught up to that. People still Google
Yeah.
things and go on TikTok instead of having deep conversations with an AI that has tons of data. So yeah, what do you see like for Hyperspell specifically? For example, give me an overview of your ideal customer persona and why they use you. Like, what's the exact value that they extract for now?
Yeah. So our ideal persona is if you are building an agent that is automating work and tackling work that you would normally have a human do in a company. So workplace agents, sales agents, go-to-market agents, agents that are helping people with HR. We have some customers that are CRMs, that are agentic CRMs and taking actions on behalf of the user and processing information. Any agent that is taking actions within a company should be using Hyperspell as their memory, because we give them both individual memory and organizational context. Now, I think where this is going, the fascinating thing is you kind of need to take a step back and say, like, okay, we've been talking a lot about individual agents, right? Yeah, it's great to have a chief of staff agent that knows your data and can help you schedule and send emails. What does it look like when you have a company where I'm using an agent and you're using an agent and so is using an agent? And like right now, you've seen this with coding agents, and a bigger and bigger percent of code bases are written by coding agents. I think you're going to see that in every workflow, right? Marketing copy is going to be increasingly created by marketing agents. Sales agents, maybe they aren't the ones on the sales call, but you're going to have a sales agent telling you exactly what to say on the sales call. It's going to be creating the collateral. It's going to be following up with the customer. Same thing with agents for accounting and bookkeeping and finance. And the thing is, all of these workplace agents need context about the company they're in, and they need something called has been labeled a context graph, which is both, number one, knowing all the previous decisions that have been made in the company. Number two, why were those decisions made? And number three, like, what is the organism that as a company looks like? Who are the customers? What's all the information we know about the customers? Why did we give this person a discount and not this customer? Right? Why did we launch this product instead of this one? Why was the roadmap delayed? All of these things are information that agents are going to need to know in order to be able to take actions on their own. And right now, you kind of have humans overseeing agents and the actions they take and constantly providing that context. We're really excited to get to a world where, yes, you have memory for the agent, but they also all have organizational memory that every single agent can plug into and use to communicate. And that is the big frontier. And I think that is what's slowing enterprise AI adoption. Is that these agents right now, they're great single player experiences because you can just feed it the context, but they have no idea the context of your organization, certainly not why decisions were made or how the organization operates. And once we crack that, I think every large company in the world is going to be using agents across their entire business.
Yeah, it's funny because my vision in the next couple of years was like having 10,000 agents, but it seems with like what you're saying, we're going to have one that's all knowing, and it's like it has the full fucking context on everything, and it's going to react in some way. Is that an accurate overview of the future?
I think it's closer to the 10,000 agents view that you were saying.
Yeah, in the next couple of years, but eventually it's going to be one genius. I feel it's not even going to be many. It's going to be like one entity that's going to be your business.
So the way that we think about it is like, I think you're totally right, exactly where you're going, where like there needs to be a brain at the center of the company. And we kind of have this today, but it's in everyone's heads, right? And it's in Slack and it's in Gmail, it's in Notion, but people don't update it, and it's not clear who made the decision over time. And the company of the future, like you think about how inefficient this is in human organizations, where like, why did this decision get made? Oh, ping the person who made the decision. Oh, okay, they left. We have no idea. Like, there's all these accumulated decisions that people have made over time and information that's just lost forever. And so if you think about, I loved your analogy. If you think about a company as having a brain today, they are incredibly forgetful, right? They're incredibly forgetful. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. You hear this in big companies all the time. Well, sales isn't talking to product, right? And engineering doesn't talk to marketing, and there's two teams working on the same thing and they have no idea. And to your point, what we're really excited about is right now, Hyperspell is the memory for one agent. We ultimately want to be that brain and that memory for an entire company. You have a Fortune 500 company and all that context is in one place. I think the slight nuance there is I don't think that like gigabrain for the company is going to need to be in every single agent. They'll query it and they'll get information from it, but I think the agents might have narrow scope. You might still have 10,000 agents, but they can all tap into this this broader organizational memory as they're completing their work and they're updating it and sharing information with each other.
Right. Hey, just a quick question with Claude code that's now called OpenClaw or whatever. Don't you feel that these, and I know that your app has like a direct terminal access. Don't you think this is like a huge cybersecurity concern?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
I mean, if I would be a hacker, I would be all over Claude bot users. I would try to, like run my code into this and siphon probably millions, if not billions, in a couple of days.
I'm sure there are going to be a lot of hacks in the short term. Absolutely, it's going to. I mean, the same thing was true when MCPs came out, right? Like when MCPs started getting adoption, there was things like tool poisoning, and you didn't really know what was behind the MCP server, and you could feed it erroneous context. I think it's like there's this phrase: when you invent the ship, you invent the shipwreck. Anytime there's new technology, or like you invent the plane and then you invent the plane crash, right? Anytime there's new tech, you can always, like the first version is always janky and unsafe, right? And has a million things. Like the Wright brothers did not have seatbelts in their plane, when they flew it. They were holding on for dear life. So I think what you're going to see is, there's going to be tons of new stuff shipped. And the V1 is always going to be dangerous and unsafe and rough around the edges. But then over time, everyone sees the potential and then makes it safe and enterprise ready and all that. And that's just the cost of living on the frontier. If you're using frontier tech, I mean, the web in the early days was super janky too. First we had invented the internet, and then we invented the internet virus, right? And in early days, so. It's very true.
So how do you protect your users from that, especially if you're going after enterprise? These guys are so like junior level when it comes to cybersecurity. It feels their only mental model is like to doubt pretty much everything. So how do you make sure that they actually don't freak out?
Well, I don't think any enterprise company should be using ClaudeBot today. Like, to be clear, I would not recommend anyone at any big company to be using ClaudeBot. Like, please don't do that. It will leak all your data and bad things will happen. I think this is like tinkerers, but I think ClaudeBot, like V7, V8, that's a closed source version that has passed all these different requirements. Like 2 years from now, there is going to be a version of ClaudeBot that is safe for enterprises. And we will be the memory interface that every enterprise can use for that final version. I think what's exciting is we're seeing the potential today, but there's a long road between the potential and it actually getting implemented. Charles, I'm curious some of your thoughts though. I mean, I've shared some of where I see some of this is going. Would love to hear your thoughts on, enterprise and adoption, context and memory.
I hate enterprises. That's my first thought. I would never deal with them. I think it's my antithesis. It's I think it's slavery to work at a 9-to-5 corporation. I think the agentic revolution is going to bring an end to all of this corporate circus. I think corporations have harmed the world a lot. And I think like it needs to be more individual people that can build better products. I think it's like a cartel / mafia type of deal. I understand why it happened. Doesn't mean I don't think it's. I think it's given jobs for sure, right? But I'm way more about like solo builders, YC companies, and people that believe in agents. Like corporations, also it's so hard to get them as clients, right? Like it's you need to outreach a specific way. I'm a specialist in cold outbound, so. That's what I know at least. It's always interesting to say out loud that I don't think corporations are going to exist in a couple of years. But what I mean by that is that I think they're going to let go most of their employees. And I think, yeah, in the end, it's going to be multiple agents and finally one brain, one agents, maybe in 10 years. And they have a gigantic financial moat over all the companies, right? But yeah, what do you think about all that gibberish?
No, that's a good point. Yeah, I think corporations will look very different in the future. And I think you're going to see the rise of like I'm not sure that I agree that they'll lay off everyone. I think that like there's a lot of reasons why corporations, there's a lot of workflows that you just can't automate. And I think part of there was a great framework I saw online. You still need people to like someone to take responsibility for this. In order for people to trust a company, they need to know that there's a person that is going to get in trouble if things go wrong. Like we can
Right.
automate plane flights today.
In the short term, and that is until we see overwhelmingly positive data and science on the fact that agents outperform humans pretty much all the time.
Yeah, I think that's true. I guess I think that the future is like an agent that does the work, but it comes to the human if there's a judgment call needed or there are trade-offs.
Well, there needs to be legally and social,
Exactly.
ethically, right? Like else we're going to be in trouble. I mean, I think it's going to take us at least 20 to 30 years to figure out UBI, right? That's like the ultimate safety net that I can think of. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, you're going to be good. I'm going to be good for sure. Like the 1%ers out there. But yeah, I think I'm still worried about most 9-to-5ers. That's for sure. I know you need to run. Where can we find out more about you, Conor?
Yeah, well, this was really fun, Charles. Enjoyed the conversation, and it's fascinating to debate about. But I think the opportunity here for anybody listening to this is try to use the tools, like get deep into it. There's so much alpha today of trying again, be safe. Don't use your personal email for ClaudeBot, like sign up for it in a secure way. Don't use your company email, all this stuff. But I really think that there's so much opportunity in just like trying these out and being on the forefront. Because as you said, 30 years from now, everybody's going to be using this, but there's going to be this middle time before everything changes where you have the opportunity to shape it. You can follow us. So go to hyperspell.com, hyperspell.com. You can follow me on Twitter. It's Conor with one N, CONOR_AI on Twitter, or at Hyperspell on Twitter. And let us know what you think. We'd be curious to get folks' thoughts on some of the topics we've debated today. I think we covered a lot of different ground. And so feel free to reach out on Twitter, LinkedIn, or on our website.
So I was Conor and Charles for another